Right friends, welcome back to English Comprehension and Vocabulary. This is 37th session and today's discussion is on the Hindu editorial of 17th March. This is with regard to return to normal. This is the monetary policy of United States of America, which is slowly inching towards normal. At present it is not normal. So, what do you understand by normal monetary policy or abnormal monetary policy or easy money policy? And tomorrow we are going to deliberate on today's editorial of the Hindu. This talks about GST, whatever is done till now and what are the tasks left over. It talks about GST. So, tomorrow in comprehension ability discussion you will have chance to learn a lot many things about GST. Today this is on monetary policy of United States of America's Federal Reserve. So, return to normal. So, here some words are there. More than that, conceptually you should understand what is easy money policy, what exactly is monetary policy, how the monetary policies of advanced economies are different from monetary policies of countries like India. So, here return to normal by pointing to gradual rate increases. By pointing to gradual rate increases, that means the federal funds rate, it increased slightly and it also stated that 2 more increases will be there during 2017. So, by coming to the normal situation, the Fed reassures markets and policy makers, because here Fed reassures markets and policy makers. Fed means Federal Reserve, that is the central bank of USA, and here by pointing to gradual rate increases. Any monetary policy must be gradual, because monetary policy looks at circulation of money in the system. So, any monetary policy must be gradual. So, when something is done gradually, so it is the thing which is required to reassure the markets. Nothing can happen in monetary policy actually, if you look at the monetary policy, here actually volatility must be eliminated and gradual increase is as per US monetary policy's assurance, which is evident from the recent announcement. The US Federal Reserve has resumed normal monetary service by raising interest rates for the second time in 3 months. Here 2 things are very important. The editorial talks about normal monetary service. It resumed normal monetary service. That means something is not normal previously. So, the meaning of this sentence is US Federal Reserve has resumed normal monetary service. Previously that was not normal. It was easy money policies. So, it was not normal previously and now it is resuming to normal monetary service. Here these are the central banks of advanced countries. This is European Central Bank, Bank of England, Federal Reserve, Bank of Japan. These are all central banks of advanced economies, and the present article is with regard to Federal Reserve System. This is the Central Bank of United States of America and the chair is Janet Yellen, what we call governor, there we call chair. So, chair is Janet Yellen. And monetary policy, if you look at India, monetary policy looks at CRR, cash reserve ratio, SLR, similarly repo, reverse repo, MSF, bank rate, buying and selling of bonds. So, these are all important aspects of monetary policy. One is reserve ratios, CRR and SLR, that means the central bank specifies this much percentage of money in the banking system must be in the form of cash or securities, and these are interest rates. Interest rates, they give general trend to the interest rates in the market. Here these are open market operations, that means by buying bonds and at the same time by selling bonds, it regulates the overall money availability in the system. So, these 3, please understand, these 3 are parts of monetary policy. Here one example I have given. This is when monetary expansion After understanding this, I will go to easy money policies. Here what is meant by monetary expansion? Monetary expansion is if more and more money is there in circulation, if more and more money is there in circulation, then what will happen? If more money is there in circulation, then more demand will be created for goods. Please understand carefully, if more money is there in the system, which is known as monetary expansion, if more money is there in the system, then more demand for goods will be created. If more demand for goods is created, then what will happen? More production will be there. So, more production means GDP will increase, employment will be created. So, when more and more money is put into circulation, demand for goods is created, more production, that means GDP will increase, employment will increase. So, all these are the positive aspects, but the negative aspect is inflation. If more money is there in circulation, then there is possibility of inflation in developing countries. So, the negative aspect of more money in circulation is inflation. When inflation is there beyond control, then common man will be suffering badly. So, because of that, the monetary policy of any country must strike a balance between inflation and growth. It is especially so in case of this developing countries, because inflation is the problem in developing countries, right. So, this is monetary expansion. So, the opposite is monetary contraction. When money is taken out of circulation, it is monetary contraction. So, monetary expansion, monetary contraction, these are all taken up through monetary policy. In our country, 6 times in a year monetary policy takes place. So, you should have clear idea about what is monetary policy, what is fiscal policy, reducing the taxes or increasing the government expenditure. These are all drivers of fiscal policy. So, fiscal policy is done by the Ministry of Finance, and here monetary policy is the purview, within the purview of Reserve Bank of India, and eliminating structural bottlenecks. Eliminating structural bottlenecks means the structural bottlenecks in the economy. So, here GST is one type of eliminating structural bottlenecks. If rural cold storage facilities are improved, that is also eliminating structural bottlenecks. If rural infrastructure is improved, then it is eliminating structural bottlenecks. So, the GDP growth drivers are monetary policy, fiscal policy, and eliminating structural bottlenecks. Let us restrict our discussion to monetary policy. We talked about CRR previously. At present, it is 4%. So, 4% of banks' money must be in the form of cash. What is the meaning of CRR? CRR means the money which should be in the form of cash as a special account with Reserve Bank of India. At present, it is 4%. In the banking system, the deposits are around 90 lakh crores. 4% is at present CRR. So, around 3,60,000 crores of rupees will be available as cash with RBI. So, let us assume CRR is reduced to 3%. When CRR is reduced to 3%, what will happen? If it is reduced to 3%, 90,000 crores of rupees will flow from Reserve Bank of India into the banking system. So, when CRR is reduced, I am talking about monetary expansion. So, if you understand this clearly, then you will understand easy money policies of advanced countries. So, here if CRR is reduced to 3%, then what will happen? Around 90,000 crores of rupees will flow into the banking system. Subsequently, from banking system, the firms will borrow and subsequently growth will take place. So, this is the theory of monetary expansion, and if you look at the advanced countries' monetary policies, if you look at the advanced countries' monetary policies, their growth is not there, inflation is not a problem, growth is not there, inflation is not a problem there. So, there what the advanced economies are doing? They are resorting to easy money policies. Easy money policies means the monetary expansion they are taking up to the maximum extent. So, what they are doing? They are keeping benchmark interest rates at 0 or near 0, and some banks are resorting to negative interest rates and some are resorting to bond buying programs. I have already told you open market operations. Some people are printing money which is known as helicopter money. So, these are the easy money policies adopted by the advanced economies, right. So, now this American central bank is going to normalize its monetary policy. What we have discussed in the first two sentences, please remember those two sentences. By pointing to gradual rate increase, the Fed reassures markets and policy makers the US Federal Reserve has resumed normal monetary service by raising interest rates for the second time in 3 months. So, gradually it is raising interest rates. So far, just like any other advanced country, it resorted to easy money policy, and now it is bringing the monetary policy just to the normal level because it is gradually increasing the interest rates. The Federal Reserve's decision on Wednesday reflects the confidence in the continuing expansion. Please understand this, continuing expansion. That is why I explained these things. Several central banks are resorting to easy money policies by keeping interest rates very, very low. And USA also for several years kept the interest rates at close to 0%. Around 3 months ago, it increased just 0.25% and now it increased another 0.25% and another 2 increases will be there. So, USA is gradually shifting from easy money policy to normal monetary policy in a gradual manner. That is the essence of this paragraph. The Fed's decision reflects its confidence in the continuing expansion. So, now it is increasing the interest rates. It indicates that its confidence in the continuing expansion and signals that its efforts to reflate the world's largest economy are largely on track. Now, after keeping benchmark interest rates close to 0%, now it started gradually increasing the interest rates. So, it indicates that the efforts of the Central Bank of America basically to propel growth, to reflate the economy. What is reflate? Reflate means increasing the amount of money in the economy by reducing the taxes and interest rates. This is literal meaning. In this case, reflating means by increasing the amount of money in the economy through easy money policies. Advanced economies are resorting to near zero interest rates basically with a view to reflate their economies. Reflate means increasing the amount of money in the economy basically to propel growth, right. So, here reflating the economy with easy money policies gave substantial results, and the recent decision of the Fed of increasing the benchmark interest rates is in fact supporting this viewpoint. Now, with overall inflation seen to be stabilizing around its longer run target of 2% over the next couple of years. Here you see advanced economies, last week also I told you, advanced economies not having inflation is the problem, but for our country or emerging economies, more inflation is the problem. There, because of easy money policies, their goal is to have 2% inflation. Because of easy money policies, what will happen? Inflation will increase. So, they now reached the required level of 2%. So, the goal of America is to maintain inflation of 2%. Now, let me ask you a question. What is the goal of India as far as inflation is concerned? As far as inflation is concerned, India's goal is 4% plus or minus 2%. That is India's target, right? And India's Monetary Policy Committee has got 6 members. This also please do not forget. Significantly, Chair Janet Allen, Chair means just like RBI Governor, stressed that policy makers expect the strengthening economy would warrant gradual increases. So, the economy is being strengthened. Previously, they followed abnormal policies or easy money policies. So, now the strengthening economy would warrant, would require, it is necessary to gradually increase the interest rates, right. So, what is meant by warranted? Warranted means to make a particular activity necessary is warrant. Now, the strengthening economy, as economy is strengthening and inflation rate already reached the target at 2%. So, the economy already strengthened. So, now it is to come out of easy money policies. So, that is why any strengthened economy requires or warrants the normalization of interest rates. So, that is why USA is increasing this federal funds rates, just like our repo rates. You forget about everything, our repo rate is around I think 6.25%. So, this federal funds rate in American parlance is just like our repo rate. So, as the economy strengthened, so it necessitates gradual increase in the benchmark federal funds rate to ensure that the monetary policy stance remains accommodative of growth even as price stability is ensured. So, what is the purpose of monetary policy? Purpose of monetary policy is it should be accommodating growth or GDP. GDP must be as per the target, then at the same time price stability. Prices must be stable. So, inflation must be within the given target. So, here as the economy strengthened and the basic purpose of monetary policy is to accommodate growth as well as price stability, as both the conditions are met. Now, it is the time to come out of easy money policies and gradually increase the interest rates as any economy or as any central bank will do in the normal way. So, here we discussed about warrant. Stance. Stance means a particular way of thinking about something. Here monetary policy stance he talked about. Here would warrant gradual increase in the benchmark federal funds rate to ensure that the monetary policy stance, the thought process of monetary policy, the meaning of monetary policy or the purpose of monetary policy, in that context this stance is used. So, a particular way of thinking about something when they are expressed publicly. The emphasis on gradual. Gradual is very important. I told you in the beginning, any monetary policy stance must be gradual, otherwise what happens? Then it will have adverse effects not only on that particular economy, but also on the economies of other countries also. So, the emphasis on gradual, that means the federal chair stated that they will increase gradually. Provides a degree of policy predictability that markets for now can broadly factor in 2 more rate increases of 1/4 a percentage point each for the rest of 2017. So, as per the Fed statement, 2 more increases are expected. So, it is totally going on predictable lines. So, as I have already told you, monetary policy must be predictable, especially he is elaborating it, especially when coupled with a median projection for the signaling rate to reach 1.4% at the end of the year. At the end of the year, the median projection, median means it is when the set of values are arranged in order 30, 26, 24, 23, 22, 21 like that, the central value is median, right. So, when the set of values are arranged, so this is median projection for the signaling rate to reach 1.4% at the end of year from the current 0.75% to 1% range, right. So, the meaning of this is the median projection for the signaling rate to reach 1.4% at the end of the year from the current 0.75% to 1% range. So, the statement has allayed fears. Previously, there was a fear that allayed fears of an accelerated rate normalization that could have triggered a sharp jump in outflows from emerging markets such as India. So, the statement that normal gradual increase has allayed the fears, that means has kept at rest, the doubt was cleared. What is the meaning of allay? Allay means the doubt was cleared, has allayed the fears of an accelerated rate normalization. Previously it was thought the normalization will be very fast, but now the Federal Reserve insisted or declared that the rate increase will be normal. If it is accelerated, that means if it is fast, then what will happen? That could have triggered a sharp jump in outflows from emerging markets such as India. So, now normal rate increase is announced by Fed. If the rate is not normal, if it is accelerated, then that could have triggered. That means it is talking about hypothetical condition, it is not real. Now Fed stated it will increase normally. So, please understand the statement. The statement has allayed fears, that means it removed the doubts of an accelerated rate normalization that could have triggered. If the acceleration is, if the normalization is fast, then that could have triggered a sharp jump in outflows from emerging markets. If the increase is fast, then foreign portfolio investors might have taken away the money from our markets. So, here allay means to lessen or relieve, to put at rest fear, doubt or suspicion, that is allay. Then accelerated, all of you know about it. Trigger. Trigger means an event or situation that causes something to start, normally initiation for something bad, right. So, if the increase is faster, then that could have led to the foreign portfolio investment outflows. Here foreign portfolio investments we discussed several times. Here the money is coming and they are investing in Bombay Stock Exchange. Suppose when US, why they are coming here? They are coming here because there the interest rate is less. Here the returns on shares or the interest rate on government bonds is much higher. There if it is 2% on the government bonds, here it is 6%. So, this is interest rate arbitrage. Arbitrage means difference. So, because the interest rate difference is there, at the same time they get more returns in Indian stock market. Now, that is the reason why they are coming to our country. This is known as capital flows. If excess capital flows are there, that may lead to asset bubbles and appreciation in currencies, but normal flows will not cause this. If excessive flows are there, then it may lead to asset bubbles and appreciation, but if the flows are normal, nothing will happen. So, here foreign portfolio investments or basically investments in stock market, they are coming because of interest rate arbitrage, and when USA increases interest rates, what will happen? Then the difference or interest rate arbitrage will come down. Then what will happen? These investments will go suddenly. So, if they go suddenly, that is known as capital flight. When the investments in stock market go suddenly, then what will happen? Asset crashes will occur, depreciation in currencies will occur, not only in India, in the countries like emerging economies. So, here this is excessive capital flows and capital flight. they are coming to our country because of interest rate arbitrage. When USA is increasing interest rates, if it is increasing gradually, nothing will happen. That is the present case. So, the statement talks about if USA goes for accelerated normalization, that means if USA increases the rates quite fast, then what will happen? Our money in the stock markets invested by foreign portfolio investors will go away suddenly. That may lead to asset crashes or depreciation in currencies. So, that is the meaning of this sentence. Investors worldwide, he is talking about worldwide, because whatever happens in USA will have repercussions across the world. Investors worldwide are bound to feel more reassured that one of the world's key economic engines, that is America, is in good shape, and that should bode well for global demand. So, that should bode means it is a signal what will happen in future. So, bode, this word is used to indicate that as a signal that what will happen in the future. So, it is a sign of something that will happen in the future. If something is going to happen in future, so the signs which are evident to indicate that, we have to use bode, B-O-D-E. So, here the investors worldwide are bound to feel more reassured that one of the world's key economic engines is in good shape, and that should bode well for the global demand. So, that is a sign for good global demand. India's exporters, including of software services, are also likely to see a silver lining in the federal chief's reference to a distinct firming up in business investment. Federal Reserve Chair also stated that there is a clear firming in business investment. There is a clear sign of business investment. There is a distinct, that means clear. There is a clear sign of firming in business investment. This is a good sign for India's exports, including that of software services. So, here India's exporters, including that of software services, are also likely to see a silver lining. Silver lining means in spite of the disadvantages, there may be one advantage. That is silver lining. Exports, these exports, in fact, these are software exports, they will bring precious foreign exchange to us. If TCS is exporting software to America, then we get precious foreign exchange, and if shirts are exported to Kenya, these are physical goods, please do not forget, these are exported to Kenya from textile factory in Tirupur, let us say in Tamil Nadu, then foreign exchange will flow to our country. But when imports are there, just like mobile phones, we have to pay back foreign exchange to other country, and when we import software of Internet of Things, cloud analytics, our foreign exchange will go to foreign country. So, these are all exports, imports. So, this article is talking about India's exporters, including of software, are also likely to see a silver lining in the Fed chief's reference to a clear firming in business investment after having been soft in 2016, that has helped put business sentiment at favorable levels. Right. So, here the next word is silver lining. Silver lining is a advantage, some advantage in the most difficult situation also. In every difficult situation, you will have some small advantage at least. So, looking at the advantage in the difficult circumstances is a silver lining. So, Raghu Kumar is suffering from mild hypertension, but the silver lining is that it made him more and more disciplined person. Right. So, distinction, difference between two similar things is distinction. Miss Ellen also flagged caveats to the Fed's projections. You cannot think that everything is good. There are some conditions which require attention. There are some aspects. There are some caveats to the world growth. What is flagged? Flagged means flag, all of you are familiar with the flag. The other one is to mark for attention. Flagged means to mark for attention. So, Janet Allen also brought some issues for the attention of the world while giving Federal Reserve's projections caveats. What is caveat? Caveat is warning to consider something before going ahead, or a statement that limits a more general statement. Here, in general, Federal Reserve's monetary policy is good. That is general statement, but there are some caveats. That means a statement that limits the general statement. So, India can fast track digital transactions to reduce corruption, but the caveat is poor digital literacy in rural areas. Caveat, you can understand very well how the meaning of caveat is from this example. So, Miss Ellen also flagged caveats to the Fed's projections. There are some caveats, you can say some restrictions or some aspects which require concern or which indicate concern. Averring that policy is not a preset course. Averring, what is meant by averring? Aver means to indicate that something is certainly true. That is aver. So, the advocate averred his client's innocence in the murder case of XXX. So, here aver means something is true. Averring that policy is not on a preset course. Policy is not on a preset course, because whatever we have thought of now, it may not take place also. Any monetary policy cannot be on a preset course, because there are certain uncertainties which may come up in future. So, here she pointed to the potential impact that changes in fiscal policy among other factors could have on the economic outlook. So, fiscal policy is not in her hands. Fiscal policy is basically in the hands of the President of United States of America. So, here averring that policy is not a preset course, 100%. She is talking about caveats. Caveats means exceptions or concerns. Averring that policy is not on a preset course. So, then she pointed out that the potential impact with regard to fiscal policy may have some effect in future. So, fiscal policy stance of USA's president may have some impact. So, there are some caveats, right. So, next one is potential. Potential means possibilities that something might happen and possibility of becoming actual. While acknowledging means to admit, accept or recognize something, to accept the truth or to accept the existence of something is acknowledging. So, acknowledging that it is still too early to anticipate, she is continuing further, while acknowledging that it is still too early to anticipate. Anticipate means what will happen in future, no one can say certainly. So, to imagine or expect that something will happen in future. So, anticipation means to imagine or expect that something will happen in future. So, here while acknowledging that it is still too early to anticipate exactly how the Trump administration's fiscal policies may unfold, the central bank is intimating that it will be closely monitoring the new dispensation's broad budget plans. New dispensation, why he used this? She used this. New dispensation means new government that is headed by Donald Trump. So, it is closely monitoring the new dispensation's broad budget plans, because fiscal policy will be known only through budget and remains steady to change policy tack if it were to perceive any risks to its price stability goals. So, the central bank will monitor the fiscal policy stance of the government, and it is ready to change direction if it perceive any risks to the price stability. Change policy tack. What is the meaning? Change policy tack means changing the policy direction. So, tack means to change direction. there is also the matter of when the Fed may decide to initiate the process of normalizing its balance sheet. There is also the matter of when the Fed may decide to initiate the process of normalizing the balance sheet. Here, why he is talking about balance sheet? Because all of you are familiar with quantitative easing. What is the meaning of quantitative easing? That is also part of easy money policy. What the central bank has done? Central bank resorted to purchasing bonds from market, and the money is in circulation, dollars are in circulation, but the bonds are with central bank. So, it is not a normal balance sheet. It purchased many bonds from the market. So, the sentence says there is also a matter when the Fed may decide to initiate the process of normalizing its balance sheet. That means when the Fed will start selling the bonds. Selling the bonds means the Fed will sell the bonds that it has purchased through quantitative easing. That means the entire balance sheet is to be normalized. There are two aspects. One is by increasing the interest rate, it is normalizing the interest rate structure, and on the other hand, it has to sell the bonds which it has purchased in huge quantities as part of quantitative easing. So, that is normalizing the balance sheet. Given that the central bank's holdings of treasury bonds and mortgage backed securities reached record levels in the aftermath of 2008 financial crisis. So, after 2008 financial crisis, what is aftermath? Aftermath means after some bad incident. Normally, you have to use this word to indicate bad incident only. So, after the 2008 financial crisis, the US Federal Reserve resorted to aggressive bond buying program, which was known as quantitative easing, because to put more money into the hands of the people, it purchased bonds. That is quantitative easing. So, now any plan to begin unwinding these holdings? Now it has to do the reverse, sell the bonds, suck the dollars from the market. So, any plan to begin unwinding these holdings will need to be very carefully calibrated and communicated in advance to ensure that global markets do not witness a repeat of the taper tantrum of 2013. So, here many bonds are with the central bank. So, to normalize the balance sheet, they have to start selling those bonds to the public, and that has to be done in a careful manner. That is why he stated carefully calibrated and communicated. That means it should also be done in a normal way by intimating in advance in a calibrated way, so as to ensure that the markets of emerging economies do not suffer the way they suffered during taper tantrum. During taper tantrum. What is meant by taper tantrum? Before going ahead, aftermath. Aftermath is the period that follows an unpleasant event. Calibrate. All of you are familiar with this type of instrument. This is calibration, and calibrate means carefully assessing. The financial sector regulators should properly calibrate the risks involved. So, calibrate means carefully assessing, carefully setting the situation. Taper tantrum. What is taper tantrum? All of you are familiar with quantitative easing. Sometime back, a few years ago, Federal Reserve started selling, Federal Reserve started purchasing these bonds from the market, huge purchase of bonds. That was known as quantitative easing. That means bonds will come to Federal Reserve and dollars will flow to the market. So, as to make easy money available in the market, the Federal Reserve has gone for massive quantitative easing some time back. And when the bank few years ago stated that it was reducing this purchase of bonds, which is known as tapering of the purchase or tapering of quantitative easing, then the markets reacted in most volatile way. That was known as taper tantrum. So, taper tantrum means panic after hearing the news of tapering of quantitative easing. So, quantitative easing was purchase of massive bonds from the market, so as to make available lot of money in the market, that is part of easy money policy. Few years ago in 2013, when the central bank stated that it is tapering the bond purchase or it is reducing the bond purchase, then the markets reacted volatile way, that is known as the taper tantrum, right. So, here the paragraph says that so as to prevent the repeat of taper tantrum of 2013, now the thing that is the normalizing balance sheet by reversing quantitative easing must be done in a calibrated way, so as to prevent the repeat of taper tantrum which occurred in 2013. Look at the last paragraph. Ms. Ellen stressed that when she said the Fed, as a matter of prudent planning, had discussed issues related to an eventual change in its reinvestment policy, and while no decisions were taken, would ensure that the process be gradual and predictable. So, Ms. Ellen stressed just that when she said the Fed as a matter of prudent planning, as a matter of prudent. What is the meaning of prudent? Careful planning in taking decisions is termed as prudent. RBI is consistent and prudent in regulating commercial banks in our country. So, Ms. Ellen stressed that when she said the Fed as a matter of prudent planning had discussed issues related to an eventual change in its reinvestment policy, and while no decisions were taken, would ensure that the process be gradual and predictable. So, this will, in fact, if you look at the paragraph once again, Ms. Ellen stressed that when she said that means that is referring to the previous paragraph. We talked about normalizing the balance sheet in calibrated way, in a predictable way, and in fact Ms. Ellen stressed just that. So, she stressed just that point when she said the Fed as a matter of prudent planning had discussed issues related to eventual change in its reinvestment policy, and while no decisions were taken, would ensure that the process be gradual and predictable. She also reiterated that way only, right. So, this is all about this today's discussion. Eventual means occurring or existing at the end of or as a result of process or a period of time. Here I gave one example. Government is introducing GST, but eventually means end result. Eventually, common man must be benefited, right. So, here what is the crux of the matter? The crux of the editorial is, now United States of America's central bank gradually started resorting to normalization of interest rates. It is gradually coming out of easy money policy, and it shows confidence in the economy. That confidence will reassure the markets, other countries also. And now the second aspect left over is with regard to the reversal of quantitative easing, selling the bonds which they have purchased on massive scale. That should be done in a calibrated way, and in fact Janet Yellen's statement indicates that they will look at various eventualities when taking the decisions. So, now as per this editorial, everything is going in a normal way in United States of America as far as economy, as far as monetary policy is concerned, right. We discussed several aspects with regard to monetary policy. Tomorrow's discussion will be on GST. This is today's the Hindu editorial, right. If someone want details about the GST, please do join at 12 noon tomorrow. Have a nice day. Thank you.